Oh, my gosh. I have to wait through all this stuff. Take it as it's mine.
Yes.
I'm just gonna put yes.
Did you play golf today?
Time to look at it.
Oh.
It's $2,000 more than it was last year. I figured that's.
What's your real job?
Yeah, considering that they got. everybody
real
got
job
all these
is
raises.
You're at
Nothing.
18,000, I'm at
What?
19,500.
Just being Justin. He's just Justin.
I also
Just-
ran 8 miles this morning. Yeah, that's
Mike,
including my
are these
running.
for us to keep or what do we do with these?
kind of caught that on.
We are good to go, sir.
Okay, thank you. So we'll call the budget committee meeting to order and ask as we go around for introductions for the record that you say your name. Also, if you have any declarations to make, for example, last time I pointed out that even though I don't favor having an RV park, I have no interest in buying an RV park. And I think that my status as a landowner and a taxpayer and fee payer is the only potential I may have for conflict of interest. So if you have any things you'd like to state at the outset, please do. I think last time I went this way, so we'll start this way, please. Carol, if you wouldn't mind.
Carol Neely, Stephen.
Joan Sonnenberg, no conflicts.
Jesse Holden. Can't think of any conflicts.
Jane Enright, no conflicts.
No conflicts.
Berlin Anderson. I am a taxpayer and homeowner in Echo. But I do not have any conflicts. I just wanted to declare that I live here.
Thank you, Brian. Mike?
Mike Gonzalez, City Administrator.
I
Well, there are
guess
other things, but we don't really want to talk about.
Bruce Shabelsky, 221 West Main Street, owner, taxpayer. That's it.
Okay, and so missing today, we have, I think Mindy's not here, right?
She was planning on being here, but
Okay.
they had a death just,
Oh, good
yeah,
Lord.
I mean, they just got notification just before
Sorry.
she was getting ready to come down.
Okay,
She's
sorry. to
gonna
hear.
try and go on Zoom, or I'm gonna put her in through my.
Okay. Thank you, Carol. So we'll understand Mindy's busy with family business. And is there anyone else? Who am I forgetting, Mike?
I think that's about it.
That's about it? Okay, so, it's not actually on the agenda, but we do have a set of minutes. And if it's all right with you, Mike, I'm gonna insert that into the agenda.
Yeah, and forgive me on the printed version online. I did get that on
Yeah.
notice. So we do have a set of minutes and
Okay,
thank you folks for reviewing it. I know some of you had sent in some of the alterations. I didn't have a chance to get to that. So if you want to remind me here, I'll make sure I get those updated and corrected.
very well, and will do, and thank you. Okay, so regarding just the budget committee meeting minutes then. Immediately prior, we did discuss item 6 on the second page at the top. It says Chair Duffy raised concerns, and that was actually Joan that brought that up. So we're gonna offer that as an amendment. Okay? On just the budget committee minutes, are there any other additions or corrections?
That was the only one I noticed too, that Joan, not you, but Joan said it in the very top of the second to last page. That's the amendment, right?
That's the amendment.
Raise concerns.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
yes, Joan raised concerns.
Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'll get that fixed.
Okay. Hearing no other, yes, receiving the motion to adopt.
Go ahead, Karen.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as advised.
Very well. Oh, Joan got blasted out completely.
I don't.
Okay. Carol has moved to accept the amended minutes and Phyllis has seconded. Is there any other further discussion? All in favor, aye? Any opposed, nay? Motion carries unanimously. So thank you, Mike. Getting those all printed up real nice for us.
You're welcome. Thanks.
The budget officers review, we've actually had a couple of these already. So Mike, is there anything else you'd like to tell us about the budget?
Mike, thanks. I really appreciate that, Chair. And just first want to thank the committee and council members for engaging. We had a great conversation, Mike.
We did.
after the meeting, and Katie came by and really some good input. And the budget is balanced, and it's been a learning process for me, and really learned a lot about Oregon budgeting and some of the nuances. And I'll say it's really detailed, and the thing that I tried to do for folks who may be watching on YouTube and for this body is really try to explain like what's in the multiple funds that we have, because it can be confusing. And so I think this budget gives a little bit more clarity in terms of like where money's coming from, where it's going. There's still a lot of work to do. I think with the feedback that I've gotten and how I've formulated, the process in my mind, I think we can really constrict, and constricting may not be the right word, but consolidate some line items. Katie and I had a really good conversation about, multiple funds that were similar that we can really constrict and just simplify the budget a little bit. And I think for next year, that's really my goal, is to have continued clarity, not only for the committee, for the city council, but for a citizen of Echo that wants to pick up the budget and say, what the heck's in here? And really make it clear. One thing I was really happy and proud of, the staff helped out quite a bit too with the budget booklet that we created. So I'm going to make that available to the public. It's a 43-page document that really kind of explains each fund as much as we can and to bring clarity. So that's in each of your inboxes. And so if anybody out there in the public wants to get a copy of it, we'll be more than happy to print it out, put it in a nice little binder. We have hundreds of binders hanging around, so we can definitely do that for you.
They were in the budget, I assume.
Yeah, they've been in the budget in multiple years, I believe, so, and paid for. So I'll say, like, we recycled these particular budget books and we improvised. Meta printed out some nice stickers and we reused them. They've all been used in some other capacity, but so hopefully you guys enjoy this budget booklet, and it kind of brings more clarity to what's going on. But still, there's a lot of work to do in terms of clarity. The budget is balanced, and I do anticipate we'll have some budget amendments and as things really shake out. One thing to mention, I just did get a letter of engagement from Rebecca Price, who has done our auditing over the years. I mean, she's been with us probably 15, 20 years. I know she's been with Diane, Dave, now myself, and I've worked with her a little bit already. She's been a pleasure to work with. She knows our budget. So I'm looking forward to working with her and clarifying some more things. And, I'm anticipating by probably October, more clarity, like on the cash carryover and those type of things. So the budget is a process. It's a living document. So and again, thank you for all the feedback from everybody, because it's definitely been a group effort and, a budget always is. So I'm really appreciative of everybody's feedback, because I know it's all been well-meaning and again, every day is a learning process is what I tell my staff. And, I'm in that process of learning as well. So thank you.
Well, I'm going to disagree with one thing you said. A budget is always a group process. It hasn't always been that here. Appreciate that you're doing it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And the next item on the agenda is a public comment. We actually have a couple of members of the public who may want to speak, several. And so a few minutes, same rules as council, really. Introduce yourself and say what you like. Now, I think they're all out this way. So any of the members of the public would like to speak? Chief, Scott? Chende? Yeah. So then we go to deliberations and tend to our business, really. Very much appreciate everyone is being so quiet tonight. I really like a meeting where one person at a time or a train gets a chance to speak. I think last time I went this way, so it's really important to me that everybody gets a chance. And so I'm going to just start. If you don't have anything to say, it's okay. But this will be your time to have your turn first to ask questions and offer comments. Please, Carol.
Most everybody knows I am a golfer and I'm concerned about the golf course. I have one question on the cash carryover for equipment. Now,
Which we on?
page 5, I think. Yes, down at the bottom. So you have 15,000 for this year's for equipment for this coming year, and you have capital outlay expenditures of 10,500. Is that for the contract for one of the mowers?
But if you're on page 5.
Yeah.
Bottom of page
down-
5.
Almost down to the bottom.
That's, water,
It's golf course.
Yeah,
reserve.
golf course.
Golf course. reserve. that's the only question. I
below
have.
the water.
Yeah,
Um,
you have major equipment, 15,000. Last year, and then again for this next year. Now, is that to purchase or is that to help repair equipment that needs for major equipment?
Major equipment is, yeah, for large, you know, you say large 15,000. It's for what we could buy within that 15,000 framework. What we can buy, you know, in terms of major equipment, you know, I'm looking at that as more of, okay, is there something like the POS system that needs to be upgraded? Is there a piece of equipment in the bar that needs upgrades? Capital outlay expenditures, I mean, those are typically capital expenditures that are large, like I would say like parts for an irrigation system, but still, I mean, in terms of large purchases, that's not a lot. It's
No.
still pretty minuscule for what could happen at the golf course. So yeah, there in my mind, there wasn't really a need to alter it too much.
Okay. Then one other question, and it's been asked to me. And I couldn't answer it, so, is there a fund that's set aside for the golf course to purchase equipment in the past? In other words, is there money put aside this year, next year, and?
We do have a golf reserve fund.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, but like I said, that's. not
Right,
bad.
yeah. So that 25.5 is our reserve fund.
Okay,
One thing we have talked about, Carol, is forming sort of like a foundation. We've been researching that a little bit. There is a men's club out there, but it would be different. It would be sort of like a 501c3 that, let's say, either someone passed or maybe they love the golf course, they could actually donate assets or real money to the fund. So we're investigating that a little bit, so that, and we kind of bounced off some of the golfers and it's been received pretty well. It's just the trick is always how there's an initial fund investment of like $25,000 as like seed money. But so that's something Tanya's working on and myself just kind of investigating a little bit, because that would be a nice fund to be able to make purchases that to relieve some of the stress of our actual budget.
okay.
Before we leave, Carol, would it be appropriate to suggest that maybe if there were some special purchases that were well over that, for example, that grants might be in order for trying to cover them?
Yeah, certainly. Grants are probably harder to come in the golf world, but that's something I'd have to investigate and look into, Mike. Like as far as, because it does keep me up at night. We certainly need irrigation upgrades. The thing that's happening right now I'm seeing is a lot of our sprinkler heads, as minuscule as that sounds, they can be a little bit expensive to replace with labor and then grabbing the parts. So we're seeing a little bit of wear and tear there. You know, certainly we are charging ourselves for water. So our golf course actually uses city water, which, you know, that's probably running us around 30,000 a year. So it'd be nice. What I would really like to do, and something I'm looking into, there is a well that has been dormant there for several years, and I'm sure several folks would probably know better than I how long that's been dormant. But if we can get a well like that back up and running, we wouldn't have to charge ourselves. We can tap into that well system and water that way and relieve some stress off our own budget, because for accounting purposes, we actually have to charge ourselves. We just can't use it'd be nice if we could use our own water and not charge ourselves, but I think our ratepayers would cry a foul on that.
Well, it's only responsible, so that's good.
Yes.
Joan, I think you're up.
So my questions were around, you pointed out in the document, which was very well done, thank you, was that our sewer system is at 90% capacity and that we're looking at the new lagoons and that we would be planning this next year to look at that. So what type of budgeting do we have set aside for that piece? Where does that fit in? Because you did allude to that several times.
Right. So there's something called a TGM grant, and been talking with Carla McLean before she resigned. So there's been also talking with Anderson Perry about taking over the planning services. So something like an analysis on our sewer system would actually come through grant funding through Business Oregon. I can't tell you what the acronym means on the TGM grant, but that's something that we're looking on as a joint project with Stanfield. And actually just exchanged an email with Darla today, their city manager. And that's something we're going to both pursue collectively. So the nice thing is when you do a TGM grant or some sort of planning grant, you know, those funds pay for the planning, the project, and Business Oregon holds you accountable, like in terms of meeting deadlines and then paying. So it doesn't have to come out of pocket. And strategy wise, you really need those planning documents in order to get more grant funding. So yeah, so that is my game plan in my mind, is to go after that TGM grant.
Thank you. That was my only question.
Thank you, Joan.
If it gets cold in here, guys, I can turn up the heat. I know it was a little chilly when I walked in. Okay, let me take a quick, let me run it through.
I was
I know it's hot out, but it's not 110 out.
Chief,
I am Patty.
did you have something you want to say?
God, I always call him. I know. I forgot.
No, the chief, his lips were moving. You
I
don't
don't
see
have
that very
any.
often, so I thought he wanted to speak.
Bad yet, I'm like, yeah.
He's the chatty one.
Thank you, Mike.
I'm sorry.
I thought it was cold too, so there, but he thought it was good.
Oh, wow, yeah, thank you.
A little chilly. I was like, gosh, it's getting
What's
cold.
wrong with it? You're up.
Thank you. Thanks.
Well, that's kind of you. Thank you. Jess?
I just mostly have comments on just, and thoughts about going forward, because I appreciate the budget's getting easier to read each time I've been on budget committee. And just for me, seeing the difference from when I was first on, it was before we got the grant money, so it was really small, and then we got the grant money, and that was like the biggest budget we had. And then now, you know, we're using up all those funds, and going forward, I think it'll be easier to read and condense our funds. So when we do have to use those funds, it's less confusing, because we're gonna have some really probably tough choices to make on how we're gonna spend our money, especially when we don't really have increase in funds coming into the city, but the prices of life just keep going up. So just, I think some hard choices we have to make in the further down the road, and hopefully people stay on the budget committee that are here. So it's, you know, the continuity of it all. We have a clear vision, a clear picture of what we have now and what our vision is for the future, and where we need to make cuts that are appropriate. And maybe those cuts are only for the short term, like, you know, 2, 3, 5 years, and then we can go back to whatever. But yeah, I thought for me, it's really clear to read, and I appreciate the effort, like the big print.
Thanks. I like it too.
Kind of you, Jess. Thank you.
Mhm.
Janie?
Thanks.
I have no questions, but I'd like to say thank you for making a nice, clear budget that I can read. It's not confusing. It's really nice. Appreciate that
You're
very
welcome.
much.
Thank you.
Outstanding. Hey, getting a pretty good report card today so far, but
Hey,
tough guy coming up. Mr. Thu, please.
Me too.
nice. Short and sweet. I like that.
Love it. Love it. Berlin?
Oh, I think, I don't remember who at the last meeting, asked for the kind of to see where we were from last year, and like, was that you, Katie?
Katie.
Thank you for that. I really like it. It makes it clear, like, the resources we have and the estimated remaining and where we're at to date, is very helpful. Hopefully it wasn't too much work.
No, I mean, the nice thing, with the assist system, you can plug in the numbers and I'm pretty good at making a lot of these graphs and things of that nature. So once it's plugged in, you're good. So, but it's my pleasure to make these for more clarity. And, I think the tricky thing for us, and it's something that I'm going to work with Assist, so it's not confusing and I can provide more up-to-date actuals as we're going along next year. So what I'm going to do is have them figure out a way that they can incorporate our cash carryover. And another thing that we need to do, we either have to make a choice to separate the golf budget with their employees in there for more clarity, which I mean, I'd kind of like to take a poll of what the thought is of the body. I'm kind of leaning of because golf is such a huge budget item. It would be, I think, fiscally responsible and also for clarity to separate them from the general fund budget. Because right now the payroll is mixed in all through general fund and regular employees. So it took me a couple months before I realized that and was told, oh, by the way, we only reconcile every 6 months. So I had to unravel that a little bit. So I think that's what I'm going to do. But long story short, this next fiscal year, when I clean up a few other things, I hope to be able to provide these reports to where, you know, we're actually closer to our actuals. So we're not like, where are we at? And, you know, in defense of the prior administration, Assist is like evolving, you know, so Dave kind of inherited the old Assist, and you know it's tough to upgrade, but they've done some upgrades recently where you can incorporate more into it, so you get more clarity, and ultimately that's what it's all about. Like where's the money going? So, and that's my goal, is to be as clear as possible, because I want to know where it's going, and so does the council, and so does the community. So.
Anything else, Berlin?
No, other than that, hopefully people who are better at looking at numbers than me already gave their input and talked to Mike, and I think I know you were in there because I was in the office right before you. But yeah, so I appreciate the committee and Mike for all his hard work and all the staff that put all this time into this, and hopefully we can get it right tonight.
Yeah, that's good of you. And of course, everybody has their own viewpoint on how to deal with the budget. And some are more numbers people or some are more principles people, but everybody's input is relevant, valid, and appreciated. Justin, how about you, guy?
I think that the golf being incorporated in one of them documents it. Also, so that would be, but this I like all this. You didn't get work.
Okay. Geez, so far you're like A plus.
Well, got my butt chopped a little bit first to get to the good stuff. That's okay. No, but it's a process, and like I said, I've appreciated the feedback, because I learned too, you know, because sometimes I know in this job, having been an administrator before, you get in the forest and sometimes you're so in the weeds and the trees that you forget. So it's nice to have that input from an outside perspective, just like, oh yeah, I missed that. So again, it's appreciated. I always try to look at, what am I learning out of things more than why are you questioning me? So, but with that being said, again, appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks, Justin. Katie? I think so. If you like, please. Same names.
And then you have, like your minor equipment, major equipment, miscellaneous expenses, also, like, I don't know, it just gets confusing when you have so many things. I like how people.
That's okay. I was like, I haven't gotten past Katie yet, though.
I know, I was worried too. I was worried for you.
No, did you ever clarify the river projects and why?
Yes,
it's
I
expense?
did. So that essentially is an expense item in case, God forbid, another flood comes, and so we're ready to pull the trigger, and we can make those expenditures rather quickly. So they're allocated, they're ready to go, and I guess you can argue, and correct me if I'm wrong, council, if it's in a reserve fund, I don't know in that particular case, if it's an emergency, if I would have to get council approval, and then
You do.
and there wouldn't, time is of the effort, and that's a question I did not ask, but my assumption was such that, we're gonna if we have to pull the trigger on an emergency spending item, so that's how it was explained to me. No, I mean, it was allocated by, I think, DLCD, if I'm remembering correctly. And that money is ours in perpetuity. Hopefully we don't have to use it. Right now, what I'm doing with it, it's in our LGIP, collecting, some interest, so we're really just investing it. So I think that's the smartest use of it. And it's actually in our banner LGIP because we're getting a better rate, states LGIP. So it's collecting some revenue for us, and it's there in the wait if we need it. Sure.
For participant, do we maybe we can look at what colors is left? Because we're making 12,000.
Forgive me, I did not on that. But you raise a good question, because folks may not know, we actually have 3 debt services out at the golf course for everybody's knowledge. There's the loan payment for the purchase from Randy, which was roughly $100,000 a few years ago. There are golf cart leases for the 14 carts that we have. And then we also have the big lawnmower that we had to buy, which, you have to have a really high-tech lawnmower. I guess you don't have to, but it helps. And we have a lot of grass to mow. So there's 3 of those out there. Would be nice if we could pay them off rather quickly. A lot depends on revenue and some of those kind of things, but I will find that out for you. So forgive me for that.
Are those
Here
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Let me find out that.
so is that set up
Page
to be
9.
paid once a year or?
No, it's a monthly payment.
Okay.
So yeah.
They totaled up to 12,000. So we're not.
Yeah.
What's our interest
The-
rate?
It was really low on.
The loans were, they were through the government
Yeah.
loans that we get them through. And, they're basically set up for 5 years and then it's paid off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a low interest and, I'm searching for the word, but anyway, it's a government purchases. And so they just take the total amount, divvy it up we said 5 years. And so then at 5 years, it's yours.
This year and next year.
I think there's 3.
I think there's 3 years left.
Mhm.
And I see there's, the loan payment here, the 23, 24, and the other 24. 25, 25, 26, and the year 26, 27.
20. Yeah, the golf carts, I think we did a 5-year loan on the
Okay.
golf carts and the mower.
Great.
I will find out on that information.
It is.
Yeah.
We budgeted, but we didn't get it at that.
Yeah.
I think we've.
We did 2.
Mhm.
Because I believe the golf course was purchased, or the business anyway,
Was it
2024.
It's like the end of the budget season, like
I think it was 23 going to the 24 budget. So
Government
Oh,
lease
okay.
purchase.
But if it's, yeah,
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 it'll be
so-
paid off, but they were both 5 years.
thanks.
So it's not like your credit card, you know, it's not 20%. And yeah, okay. So does that help?
Yeah, at the end of it, you pay $1.
You didn't have any more?
And I'll find out that information. I'll email it to the group, just so everybody knows.
That's good of
because
you,
I need
sir.
to-
Thank you.
You know, I was aware of these, but you know, the specifics of them, I have to get into those details. So I'll definitely get that for the group.
Okay. Phyllis?
So with the loan payments and all the revenue, the golf course is still in the.
We're still in the black, and Phyllis, if you look at this report that I did, the estimated available resources, you'll see so I went through each fund, kind of where we started, where we're at, the expenses, and what we estimate we'll end up with. So golf course is definitely doing well revenue wise. I'll say we're trying to control our expenses, like in terms of payroll. You know, I did cut some of the hours for some of the part-time staff. It was getting a little bloated, and we were getting close to going over. So, and some of that, like I said, was my fault because I was interpreting our budget system. Well, we were way over. We're like, we've got plenty of money, until I dug in a little bit and asked Dave about, you know, the process, because something didn't feel right to me. And he was like, oh yeah, forgot to tell you, we reconcile every 6 months, because when he had the system, it wouldn't allow him to separate the golf out of the 100 fund, we call it, the general fund. So anyway, we unraveled that and figured it out. And but back to your question, the golf course is doing well. I mean, one of the things that I'd like to do is, one thing we don't account for is for public works actual labor. Some jurisdictions will account for accounting purposes, you know, every time an employee of public works goes out there, okay, he logged 4 hours, you know, at whatever his rate was. Because right now we have a contract with Stanfield, and they do an amazing job. And thank you, Scott. You know, anytime we need them, they're there, they repair things. But it's just that they do it as part of their contract, and it's not like a statute they have to log it, but it would be nice to know sort of, you know, how many hours they're putting in.
Good management practice.
Yeah, because my suspicion is, you know, we say, well, golf's an enterprise fund. Nah, is it? If we had to go on the open market and pay for what the labor that Scott provides, and then Scott, who's the gentleman? He's like a wizard in your
Ross.
Ross. So I mean, Ross does amazing things. I mean, he'll build things for us, and you know, so they do a lot of really good things. And so don't charge us more for all the great labor that you're providing. But with that being said, you know, it'd be nice to kind of know, because it is subsidized, you know, by that labor.
Well,
So
you mentioned being able to separate that out from the general fund.
yes,
And I think that would be a good idea. There are people that have misconceptions
Right.
about the golf course and what it's costing. And I think if they could just have that separate budget, or, you know, ask the question and see it,
right.
it would make it a lot more understandable.
That's good feedback, because what I'm hearing collectively is parsing that out by itself would give more clarity. Because yeah, I've heard when I first got here, oh man, it makes so much money, and you know, it's in the black, and it is. The expenses are high when you think of water. You think of our labor costs, you know, between full-time golf manager at a salary of 60 plus benefits, plus part-time, you know, our payroll is probably running 150 grand between full and part-time individuals throughout the year. You obviously have labor costs coming for public works, just cutting the lawn, fertilizing. It's a tremendous expense to run a golf course. We're probably in the black by, on a good year, 100 grand. So it's not
Which
like,
percentage wise is going to be what?
you know, you're probably looking to up 25% of what it costs to run it. So it's not $1 million a year operation. You know, the margins are still pretty thin, you know, in the large picture. I wish if we were netting $500,000, I'd feel better, but you know, there's not a lot of leeway, especially where I get worried in the next 5 to 10 years, and Scott could probably speak to this better than I could, is some of the infrastructure, the irrigation, and some of those things are starting to wear out. So you have a big irrigation break at $100,000, you know, there we go. You know, we're dipping into reserve funds and things like that. So
I do have one more question, and this is just a silly question.
Oh, good.
We have resources of $150 for dog licenses. As far as I know, dog license costs what, $15?
yes, as far as I know. Yeah, and that's something.
$2 and $4 is what they are.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
I thought they were like $10 or $15.
$2 and $4.
Well, maybe that makes more sense.
Is it all license that whenever they start licensing their cat, I'm getting a license from their dog.
And that's
Different topic, not going there.
I did talk to Ahmed about that recently. It's tough to get people to come in and you can't force them. It's tough to take punitive measures. I think in every city that I've worked in, it's the same story, no matter how large or small the city. You've got dogs running around off the leashes. You have owners that are not responsible and they don't have leashes, they don't have tags, and you go, where the heck do you take them? It's not a lot of money and funding. So yeah, it seems like a perpetual problem. And that's something in the newsletter. It's a good newsletter topic. I think we'll probably put something in there now that I'm thinking about it. So we can encourage. I wish we can enforce, but it's not a realistic enforcement, because I certainly don't want Chief Zumwalt chasing dogs around when there's, you know.
That's, my cat was over somebody's out of the fire hall.
Yeah, that's a good. So.
Okay, well, we had a public comment period earlier, but there've been a couple. Anything about the budget committee you'd like to talk about there? Are you with the CIA or anything? Well,
Mike,
Thank-
may I have one more comment?
I haven't had my chance yet,
Oh,
but please go ahead.
so I just, we have estimated remaining in the positive for all of these right now, but we do know the expense is going to come in and we're going to reconcile, you said by October. However, I do notice that the lowest one of remaining and where we really are pushing the envelope is our street funding. And are we allocating enough resources to our streets, and what can we do? Should we do about that? Because at every city council meeting, we hear a lot about our streets needing repaired and safety of our streets. So are we okay with where we're at?
Probably not. I mean, to be blunt, I mean, I look at that and you can get you get some shared revenues through the state, you get it through gas tax. So those are funding mechanisms for the streets. Some grant funding you can get, so we have to search for that. So that's something I'm hoping to find. Grant money has been harder to come by the past couple of years just because of ODOT is absolutely broke, and they've been on the record about how broke they are. So a lot of the funding mechanisms through them have dried up. So it is a huge concern. And again, I go back to development, and this is why development incrementally is important for us. I mean, we don't have to overdevelop or anything like that, but again, you look at a Madison project, one of the goals there was to bring a gas station like a Maverick or a Chevron. So what we have already built into our code is a gas tax at 2-3 cents, which would be restricted funds directly for our streets. So we could have, you figure in Stanfield, they do it over at the pilot. And I think, what is it, 10 grand a month that pilot has allocated to Stanfield, and all that money goes to streets, correct?
It's our in lieu of fuel tax. And it goes into streets and parks and we can use that. We have more discretion over what we can use it for with that. But with the state street tax money that funds the streets now, it's very strict on what you can spend
Mhm.
that money on. But
So-
fuel tax, the city council could set whatever you wanted to spend. it
So
on.
yeah, so we could, that is flexible to do streets and parks and so that's something we're gonna lobby our pants off, I think, this legislative session to really, because it's gonna be the squeaky wheel gets the grease, based on my experience in lobbying. So I think we're gonna have to be present in Salem and, really beating the door and we continue to have conversations with the governor's office. Tim Knope was in town the other day and popped by real quick with Rep. Levy. So we had some coffee and gave him a tour and, so we're continuing that conversation. So I think our best bet is definitely just to keep beating on that door because the only way to find grant money is to continue to go after it. So I think that's our best bet. But it does make me nervous, counselor, when I see that because there's not a lot of places that you can just stick money in. We can't necessarily grab it from the excess of the golf course. You probably could use golf course money for like Smith Drive and things like that leading into there. I'd have to get some legal interpretations on that because Thielsen is a major corridor into the golf course as I'm thinking out loud. So some of these things, I think we probably could use golf funding, but I'd have to get some interpretation. But like the general streets of Echo themselves, like it worries me. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, good.
And a lot of downtown doesn't qualify for the small city allotment grants either, so.
Very good discussion. I've said it privately at different times, and I think I should make it a matter of record. Of course, we did have a chance to visit for a couple hours, as Berlin pointed out earlier. And we talked a little bit about how different people look at the budget and what's important to one person may or may not be important to them and so forth. And for me, I'm a fairly good books person. I don't like it. But when I'm on a committee like this, I think about things in terms of principles. And what you saw last meeting was I was a little bit genuinely frustrated. After talking with Mike, our budget officer, for a couple, I wanted a half hour, an hour. We were there right up until closing time. He was very generous with his time and helpful with his information. And in terms of the numbers and the principles, I became very satisfied with what's going on. The balance is budget, or the budget is balanced, and it wasn't before. The numbers are reasonable estimations. It's a good snapshot to work with. And given what's coming up, I think attitudinally and in terms of the principles, this learning curve that Mike mentioned a little while ago, this ongoing, going to question this and service that and so forth, that's something that's genuinely happening. And sometimes it doesn't get any better than that. Now, this is his first time through this budget. I'm sure there's going to be a lot to learn. And I will be looking for that first audit report, see what that's
Absolutely.
the next report card time, as far as I'm concerned, for all of us. But I'm very well satisfied with what's been going on with this whole process. And this is by far the most involved discussion we've had on a budget in Echo in as long as I can remember. My first budget committee experience was when I first came here. I volunteered for some things, and I really don't want to go into it with you what had happened to me. Suffice it to say, this session is open. I commented today. I've been on a few budget committees and a few boards. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite as good as this.
Nice.
Thank you.
It's very nice.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, and I'll say, Chair, that
Yes, sir.
I've worked in large cities, I've managed 300 people, and this is the most engaged I've ever been in honest to God, in a budget process, like in terms of council, community. But not in a caustic way, like everybody has been good in the process. Even when you're a little ticked, my personality, I don't take it personally. And, I'd rather see engagement and, people who are enthusiastic about the process. And, if everybody just rubber stamp things, like what's the point, right? So again, I'll say it again on the record, I appreciate the feedback. My door is always open at City Hall and, I think people have appreciated that. And, I'm in kind of the listening phase and learning and, we're only going to get better. And that's my promise is to always give 150% effort. I might not always be right and I'll acknowledge that, but, it's not going to be from lack of trying. I'm always going to give y'all a 150%.
My impression was you didn't take it personally. You took it professionally and you did deal with it, not just with myself. I noticed some other people have had some interesting comments and interaction. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
It's the budget committee's job to do what pretty much we're doing. And of course, the end of our job is whether or not we want to send a budget to the council for their consideration. So at this point, the chair would entertain a motion to the lady next to me
I lost.
and the other lady on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
He's probably good.
I'm getting kind of a, sixth sense on this stuff. See that one? The chair recognizes Ms. Shavelski's motion to approve the budget in the amount of $3,633,561 for the 26-27 fiscal year for the city. And Carol has seconded the motion. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously with appreciation, by the way.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, committee. Appreciate all the input. You guys were great.
Good job. By the way, we're done early, so who brought the refreshments?
Got some beer.
Unless
You
there's-
guys, all the materials are yours to take with you, so feel free.
Unless
Except the pen,
there-
that's, you can even take the Echo pen. And,
Justin, do you want to move to adjourn? You want to move to?
council, we could roll it right into the public hearing.
Justin has moved to adjourn.
Moaned.
Is there a second?
Pretty much.
I.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, just. We would all say anyway.
Thank you, committee.
Oh, you're coaching.
Camp?
I'm gonna mute the audio until we hit the hearing.
And then we went the next day. We went to
They-
Cookout.
You could tell this, everybody else.
But
I bet he watched us do that.
Who's the guy?
What's the point? Oh, really? No, I do not.
There was some sort of hiding on the.
Oh, I guess I will stand up for a little bit. I need
Yeah, don't go too far.
No, kidding, no.
Or do you need to go to the bathroom? Okay.
I still don't get out like I should. I said, well, yeah.
It was a rookie, and we made it.
Mistake for this?
Yeah. It's moving away.
The kids came.
Active audience.
First a little warmer. We didn't even get it around. It's not melting. Yeah, should.
Some of these bees we got. I take it like budget notebooks or what? We can.
Yes, sir. You could take those with you. Those are yours forever.
I mean, I don't have a gavel. Oh, it's okay. I can just. Okay. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
We're gonna go into the public hearing on the 2026 to 2027 budget. So pretty much all we have on this agenda is opening the hearing and we will have public comment. So if anyone from the audience wants to comment on the budget, feel free to get up and state your name and address. And then from there, we will have a discussion and review the budget, and then we'll need a motion, and so it should be pretty short and sweet. So any public comment on the budget? Okay, so we'll open it up to review from all of you guys. I think most of our questions are answered, but any discussion?
No, I think there's pretty good discussion during the. Nothing left to say, yeah.
Yes, it was a robust discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was good. And I'll say, thank you, council, for the feedback and, the committee again for, all the feedback that they gave. And we have a balanced budget, which I think is reasonable. I think overall we had about a 2.5% increase and most of, really all of the increases were not anything from our administration or this council. So the public knows it was really just wage pressures, increases in insurance, our asset insurance, so those type of things. I do anticipate coming back to this body with some adjustments as is normal, but I'm a conservative budgeter in terms of spending and thinking about the future. We're really continuing. We're going to have to go after grants, economic development. I'm certainly aware that we don't want to overdo it, but there's got to be incremental phasing in of development. And the feedback I've gotten from community is, we're not against development. We just want to do it in phases, incrementally. And I've heard that message loud and clear. But the future of Echo depends on some of that. So I've tried to be really transparent with how I feel and also how I'm going to approach it. So again, I really appreciate the community's feedback. My door has been open to everybody and I've heard from a lot of folks and really appreciate it. So thank you to everybody for your feedback on this budget. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike.
I might comment that Berlin, your microphone seems to be working, but Mike, yours does not.
And I may need to just get a little bit closer. Sometimes I think I got this big booming voice, but need to talk louder apparently. I'm used to lapel mics, that I have to make an excuse there, counselors.
Okay, so we'll need a motion to move forward, and I believe you need to say the total amount of the budget in the motion.
So, Counselor, you'll have to close the hearing first.
Close the hearing. Okay,
Am I correct in that?
Mhm.
I know. I'm
Close
gonna
the hearing and
allow
then vote?
For mayor to,
Hearing
Yes.
was closed when you adjourned it, so. now you're-
no, not the budget committee, but
The hearing.
the hearing itself.
You have to.
Okay. Okay, perfect.
close and then motion.
Okay, so we're in good shape. We're in good shape. Well, I'm making sure.
Close the hearing.
I make a motion that the council of the city of Echo approve the 2026-2027 proposed budget of $3,633,561 as presented tonight.
I'll second.
Okay, Joan has made a motion to pass the budget and Jesse has seconded. I believe at this point we'll go around the room and everyone will say yes or no. So Joan, your vote?
Yes.
Maria, your vote?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Janie?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Okay. You can move it to council.
Perfect. Thank you.
So we'll need to repeat that later on.
So what I'll do is give everybody a chance to take a quick break. I'm gonna mute.
Okay, so we're gonna open the city council meeting, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone. Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Okay, so we're going to need to approve the minutes from our last meeting on the 9th. Is there any discussion or updates or anything from those minutes?
I think I had one, like acting mayor Anderson on, number 5 committee reports. I believe it was Counselor Anderson who suggested scheduling a future trails committee, meaning to discuss a previous work, not
Yeah.
Counselor Holt.
Yes, yeah. Okay.
It's that.
Anyone else have anything to add?
I'll move that we accept the minutes as amended.
I'll second.
Okay, Janie has made a motion to approve the minutes as amended. Jesse has seconded. Richard, your vote?
Yes.
Janie,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Maria,
Yes.
Joan?
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes. And now we'll open up to public comment on agenda items only. So if anyone wants to make any comments, please keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. Phyllis? And state your name and address, you know the drill.
Phyllis Shadelsky, 221 West Main Street. I would like to offer a correction in your minutes that you just voted on. It's reported that Jeannie Hampton gave a report on the Echo Heritage Association. That was not Jeannie, that was me. So I'd like to see your minutes be accurate. Thank you.
I didn't catch that, I guess. Yeah, I didn't catch that.
Anyone else?
We knew it was you. We just thought you changed your name.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Mike Duffy, 221 West Main. I'm going to read you an article. It says, little interest was manifested locally in the primary election last Friday. The total vote cast for Echo precincts was only 173 votes. It goes on to say where they felt this could have been better and that could have been better. And that was about the same percentage we had in the recent election. And that was the May 26th election of 1916. Things don't change much from year to year. Not very many people vote unless, you know, they're personally being threatened with something. We're going to talk about the next brief period of service for the mayor after what I consider a huge miscarriage of justice, manipulating a minority of votes to gather a majority that was acceptable. And as always, I want to thank the council for your service. All these people are volunteers, for crying out loud.
Anyone else for public comment on agenda items?
Good evening, Council. Vicente Escalante, 310 North Tilson Street. I just want to repeat what Mr. Dovey said. Thank you, Council, for what you guys do. It is a volunteer event. So, yeah, if I had never said it before, thank you. I like to see that we have a diverse group, and I don't know about you, Council Member Thu, but you're holding it strong for men, but if they're given the opportunity, I'm sure there would be less wars. On that note, I just wanted to make a statement for discussion bullet number 8 for the discussion of mayoral vacancy and consideration of appointment options. Just as a resident, at least my recommendation for the council would be, wait for like a November runoff, right? I feel like a town our size, the leadership is, is important. I think you incredible people can hold it down until, there's a, runoff in November. And I also want to just say, regardless of how some of you might feel, residents and stuff, of how things transpired, again, this is a democracy, right? We have these systems in place to give, a resident and rural residents the ability to, speak up if they don't like how things are going. I think it's important to never take things personal. At that point, it's just an ego thing, right? If we didn't have these processes in place, then, I mean, I hate to see what America would look like, right? With that being said, I would just recommend that, holding off. At least for me as a resident, I'm more than confident that Councilwoman Anderson will hold it down until, a runoff. So, and I think the rest of you have more than enough capabilities to do this. So with that being said, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Chad Ray, 11 Smith Drive. If it was so important to wait until the election, then why was it so important to have a recall at this time? Doesn't make sense to me. The council is full of wise folks. I've been honored to be on this council and lead this council. You'll make a good decision. One of our goals when I was mayor was to involve the community and to foster community involvement. And I think ignoring that and waiting till the next election would go against one of the council's goals. So I think inviting the community to apply and have the chance to become the next mayor would be wise, and stick with our goals. And again, if the time is so close to the election to wait, why put the city through a recall at the same time? Doesn't make sense, but that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Gina Sather, 33229 Marble Street. I'm for appointing somebody. I'm not for waiting in particularly, but I would hope. I'm for appointing somebody. I'm not for waiting for the elections, to be honest with you. But I would hope that you guys would listen to the petition that we did last time that you guys totally ignored, with 70 people on it. So my comment is I'm for appointing somebody, but take the community's voice when you choose. That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I have any more time left?
I believe so.
Two things. First, it's been an honor to be the Budget Committee Chair again this year. And happy to see that the budget is moving through the process. And for the record, for this session, I'll offer my endorsement personally and as the chair, and thank Mike for really extraordinary effort. This being his first time through, I'm convinced he's going to continue with quality effort because it's going to take that to get through this first year of his experience. So thank you for that, Mike. Secondly, however, regarding the RV park topic, I can't let it go, people. In principle, and by the way, I'm not going to recommend amending the budget at this stage. I just want it to be a matter of record. This year, as it was years ago, as it will be next year. In principle, for the city to have and operate a small business like that on the side, when it doesn't really benefit the city in any significant way, unlike the golf course, operating that has a lot of benefit to the city. Now, years ago, when we were putting it together, you know, Diane was maybe bringing people in, workers, friends, relatives. And I think the Fives have this one over here. Back then, maybe Miss Jerry and their pals, maybe they're talking about, hey, why don't you do an RV park? I don't know. There might have been use for it back then. Now, Kyle aside, that's a coincidence. Nothing wrong with Kyle. Staying over there in that piece, we're calling something else. In principle, especially in a year when the city could use a little injection, if you sold those two properties and let some commercial outfit run them like they should. That little bit of injection of cash would get us past this scanty part while we're waiting for more houses and taxpayers to come in and offer us a boost. Anyway, I had to say something. I promised myself and Mike actually that I'd say something. Because in principle, the principle of the matter is just not right for the city to be operating those two little entities like that. Thank you for this second opportunity.
Well, it pertains to the budget, so you're safe.
Safe.
Borderline. Borderline safe. Okay, any other public comment? Okay, you'll have more time at the end, I promise, Mike. Okay, so we're gonna move on to committees. And I'm not sure if we need to talk about a committee forming for the cleanup day at this meeting or
That's something,
you're still working on?
yeah, well, let me research a little bit with staff and figure out, and I'll meet with Phyllis and Mike. I know who have a lot of passion about this and kind of regroup. I think our meeting in July, I'll have a better idea of kind of like where we're gonna go with this, so.
Okay. Trail committee hasn't met. We were trying to meet before the July meeting. Everyone had something going on. And so hopefully we'll have updates at the July meeting. And then I don't know if this is an appropriate time to talk about the safety and the traffic committee, because I saw the signs went up.
Yes, and I'll let Scott speak to that a little bit, because I know that was a topic of discussion on the 9th. So yeah, I was excited to see those go up. So I'll let Scott talk a little bit about it.
Kyle and Derek, they got the beacons up and got them programmed partially. And so, but we got to hook up laptop to them and go through and get the timer set and the days they come on and everything. So anyway, we're going to run them through a test, but they won't be functioning until school starts.
Okay.
And then we still have the crosswalk to put in. We have everything to do that, but still working on it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, there was questions about that last meeting, so glad that those are up and crosswalks in or going in. But thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, I think that's it for committees. Art committee hasn't met. All right, there's nothing for new business or for old business. Do you have anything, Mike?
I don't, council, so free and clear there.
All right, so now we will move on to the approval of resolution 535-2026, adopting the 2026 to 2027 budget. I don't think there's any discussion, but let me know if there is.
I'd move approval of the resolution 535-2026 budget.
I'll second.
Do we need the
Have a number,
I think so, but I'm not sure. So if you would just.
whatever it is.
Okay,
it says.
you said it.
2026, 2026.
Okay, first and the second, okay.
I'll second, yes.
All right, so Rich made the motion, Janie seconded. Joan,
Yes.
Maria,
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Janie?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Okay. We've adopted the budget.
Thank you,
Congrats.
thank
We
you,
did
council.
it.
So again, I know I've said it before, thank you to council and the committee and the community for their input, and we'll continue. Clarity is what I'm all about, and transparency. So again, if people have questions about it, my office is open and would be glad to discuss.
Great, so discussion on the vacancy and consideration of appointment options.
First thing I'd like to say is that I'd like to do is to have Berlin be mayor pro tem until the election in November. If she would do that, I don't think we have to have a motion or anything, she's already there.
Yeah, you are correct, Councilor Thu. So by our own statutes of the city and our charter, in a case like this, Councilor Anderson would automatically move into that role. And she could choose to stay or be temporary if the body chose to choose somebody else, but you're absolutely correct. So as far as I'm concerned and the research I've done, a motion is not necessary because you automatically, by our charter, move into that role.
Do we have to, are we required by our charter to then fill her vacant position?
You are not required to fill, so you can. So there's a number of scenarios that can happen. I probably thought about it too much, but so you could do nothing. That you don't have to fill Councilor Anderson's vacancy in her current position now that she's moved into that role. You can choose another councilor to move into the pro tem role, and then that would create a vacancy in a regular council role. You can choose an individual from the community to fill that spot. Her vacant role. Just we did, for the record, I'd like to say, Jeannie Hampton did bring by an application. I did not put out a call for applications, but she did bring that by, and I promised her that I would tell the group that she did bring that by. So she is certainly willing and able to fill a vacancy if the council so chooses to make a motion. So there's a number of scenarios that can happen. It could be a community member. The only stipulation is by charter, that individual has to have lived in Echo for a period of 12 months. So it couldn't be somebody that just moved into the district or the city yesterday, and then you appoint that person. So that they would still have to adhere to the same provisions. So there's a number of scenarios depending on how you go through it. So feel free to take a look at this document that I put together, because I've had community members calling me up and saying, hey, could this happen? Could this happen? So it's kind of forced me to think about different scenarios. So I knew what to tell the group when asked. So there's definitely a lot of things that can happen. And like I said, ultimately, you can choose not to fill the role, the vacancy. You can choose to fill it internally with a person. You choose a member of this body to become the mayor, you know, until the next election cycle can come from this group. It can come from the community. So there's a number of scenarios that can happen, council.
We first have to start by, for a safety net first, or?
By our own charter, when the mayor, there's a vacancy in the mayorship, that position automatically moves into that role. She can step away from that role if she wants to. I mean, that is your choice too. You can accept it in a temporary fashion and move back into your old spot. And then the body can either choose from within or from out in the community. Or you can stay, obviously accepted and stay in the role until another scenario transpires.
Okay. I was just hoping for discussion, but I'm more than happy to stay in this role until we find somewhere that's temporary or until November. I just want to keep moving forward and to not have any more bumps in the road. As best we can do, to stay on track and then keep getting things done. So I'm happy to do it, but I would love discussion.
Yes, my question is for you, is it something you feel comfortable doing or that you want to do? I mean, not like, okay, we're pressuring you to do it. on the spot.
Remember when I said that I would only be council president if Chad never missed a meeting?
Yeah.
You know, no, I'd be happy to do it. I just, like I said, I just want it to be the easiest transition for everyone. And if that's me doing this, I'm willing to do it. I just want to keep, I don't want it to be messy or anything, but if I'm like, thank you, Richard, I will accept, but if there's any discussion or we need to fill another role, I just want to do what's ever easiest for all of us.
So Pro Tem Mayor. Okay, so Berlin and the rest of the council, I really am of the firm belief that we have been through a lot in the last year and we need to take a deep breath. And I am in agreement with Richard that if we can maintain status quo through the November election with you in your role, if you said you're willing to do that, that would give us a chance to start fiscal year 2026-27 with starting to focus on our goals. I have some that I want to present next meeting that I'll get to you, but I really believe we need to take a deep breath and focus on doing the business of the city. And without some of the high emotions we've seen. So I really think this gives us a chance over the next 4 months to just take a breath. And that would be, so I'm in agreement with Richard on that.
Yeah, I think that I like what you said, and to me, it's important that we have an ongoing council, and I don't think we should have an empty seat because we've got a lot of work to do, more hands better to do it, and if we can have somebody who has some experience, that's even better, and that we need to take this chance to go ahead and appoint somebody and get that all taken care of, and with Berlin at the mayor's spot, then we can move ahead with the agenda that we have. And I would like to move, I guess it's appropriate, I'd like to move that we appoint Chad as a new council member. Let's not waste all the experience that he's had, if he's willing to do that.
Is that within,
And that is you have the authority to appoint tonight. I mean, I can't, it's up to council as far as I've seen. So certainly council can make a motion for whoever in the community.
Do we,
Um,
sorry,
yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry I interrupted.
No problem.
Do we want to have it posted so it's more public, so we don't feel like, I just don't want people to think we did something
Right.
where I know that it's in, like, that's
Right.
appropriate that we can appoint someone tonight that's here, but I don't want it to seem like we didn't.
Yeah, I'll give my opinion. I think it would optically look better if we put the application out and saw the field that it was available. Like, I think for this community, what it's been through the last couple of years, I think that would be my preference, because I think it could be deemed as well, and I don't know if the body would choose the former mayor or not, right? But Jeannie Hampton's a great candidate too, right? So you have these folks that are willing and able. Now, I think the right thing to do is let the application process come in, so it's not deemed as an unfair process, even though it's allowed. Certainly can make a motion and pick whoever in the community we thought was a great candidate, and that maybe that person gets selected. But I think people that perhaps wanted to be considered would feel left out of the equation. So I think, for transparency's sake, so it's not spun a certain way, and, the community's not left feeling like, wait, if Chad was selected, and, and I'm Switzerland as the city administrator, I work for the body, and you guys make the decisions and I execute that. So certainly is allowed, but my recommendation as city administrator would be, let's put the applications in, let's see who we get. And then however things fold out, the good thing that we did was give everybody the opportunity to put their application in.
Personally, I believe we're here to represent the people. That's why we're elected. We're here to do what they want. Jeannie Hampton had, 70 signatures to get, have her put on the council. And she was not considered at that time and wasn't even discussed. And I think if she applied for this position, she certainly has a history, as she's been involved with city and everything for a number of years. So I think we should at least put it out there.
I agree, Counselor. I think it's the right thing to do, regardless of who winds up being selected. I've been around politics a long time. Sometimes you have the majority, and perhaps the other person feels like I had more credentials or whatever. But ultimately, I think, again, my recommendation is to give everybody the opportunity to put their application in, and then you get that pool of applicants. We discussed it in executive session and maybe even an open session. I mean, it doesn't have to be executive session. And then you let the chips fall where they may. Whoever gets chosen, at least it was a fair process, and one that went through a process rather than just choosing somebody. Because no matter, I think if you choose tonight, somebody's going to feel like they got slighted, regardless of who gets selected. So that's my recommendation. Let's go through the process. We could choose that person in July. That'll give us
Are
stuff.
we giving them enough time if we're doing it at the next meeting? I know we want to act and do this, right? Because we were all saying, we want it to go smoothly. So is that giving until the that's 3 weeks?
Till the 14th. I think that gives plenty of time. I don't think you want to rush the process. We could do a special meeting if you wanted to on the 7th, but that could be deemed as rushed.
No, I don't want to rush it either. If we want to give people time to consider and apply.
So I have a question. So we have what I'm hearing is we have two options in front of us. One, we just let Berlin roll into the role, however you say that, and go forward, and we don't fill the spot, or we, like Richard has said, we let her stay in the mayor role till November and we fill the open council spot for the next 4 months. And then that, it's only a 4-month term, correct? If we appoint someone?
Exactly.
Okay. So, or 3 months by July.
So both those spots are only until.
Yeah.
Right, and they're
Both those spots would
both
only
up
be-
for election, so,
Okay.
and per our charter, and it actually might be, if I remember correctly, a state statute. Because you ran into this, Counselor Sonnenberg, with having to rerun, I think if it's more than 24 months by charter and you are appointed, you'll have to rerun, but both terms are up, so they'll have to go up for reelection anyway. And you know, that was a question posed to me by a community member. Could the mayor who was recalled be appointed? Yes, certainly could be, because now Chad is a citizen of Echo. So that he sort of defaulted back to, yes, he could be considered. So certainly is within law and in the scope of our charter. So yeah, it's been interesting, just like racking my brain, figuring out all the scenarios, and then community members kind of weighing in with, hey, I'm interested, you know, what could happen here. So I think there's a lot to consider, you know, the recall, the will of the community, you know, a person that was in the spot before, you know, a lot of people have a lot to lend, and but ultimately it's up to this body to choose that individual. You know, I'll figure out all the scenarios for this group, and any questions the community may have, I will try to find that answer for you.
There's a motion on the table, correct?
We,
Yeah,
Do
I
we-
didn't hear
I
a
think-
second, but did it?
You could table the motion, and I think Counselor Thu could relinquish his motion, and then we'll just, you can direct me to put the application out on our website and our Facebook page and our social media platforms, and then we could process those. Then I can bring them back in July.
It also dropped.
Goody, okay, that's what I thought too, so.
If you want. So withdraw table.
So you can withdraw, Counselor. And I think that's probably the best thing to do, is withdraw your motion, and then Counselor Anderson, now Mayor Anderson.
Yeah, I kind of hate to wait. I mean, we got stuff to do and everything, but if that's what council wants. Fine with me.
Okay, so motion has been withdrawn.
So I'm going to make another motion just so we have it recorded, our decision. So I will make a motion that the city council directs Mike, our city administrator, to publish an opening for a city council seat for the duration of Berlin's current term as a council member, to go from when we appoint them through November, when the elections happen, and that those applications be posted within the next week, to be cutoff date of Friday before our meeting on July 14th. So then we can hear from the applicants at that time and make a selection.
oh, okay. Joan made a motion, to give Mike direction to post, opening position and get applications, and that we will decide, or hopefully decide, in the July meeting. And Maria has seconded. Rich, your vote?
Yes.
Janie?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Maria?
Yes.
Joan?
Yes.
All right.
Thank
you.
So thank you.
All right, now we have public comment again on anything. So as long as it's appropriate. So if anyone has public comment, now is the time. You got 5 minutes or less. Okay, I knew it.
Okay, put my watch.
Okay, start the timer.
Start.
This is like.
I knew you would.
And Gina said I could. Whoop, didn't see the humor in that. Very peaceful. Appreciate that. I'd like to draw attention to something that came up a few times in the history of this council that I've been familiar with. I don't get to every meeting, as you know, but some, and I do enjoy participating as a citizen and somebody who kind of has a personal, thing with the assemblage and Robert's Rules of Order and all that stuff. Very few people understand that when the chair has a question about what's appropriate procedurally under the charter or under the meeting rules and stuff like that, there's a person called the parliamentarian. And I believe in our charter, during your meeting, and forgive me if this is something you're all, but I think it bears repeating that if Berlin gets stuck, she's going to turn to the parliament. And who's the parliamentarian? In one meeting, I was a parliamentarian. No, that wasn't right. Yeah. But by definition, it's the administrator, unless council is present. Very much appreciate Mrs. Kern stepping up and offering a timely remark in that regard. Obviously, she knew that was appropriate. So, boom, if you ever get stuck, what am I supposed to do? That's where you got to get to go. Yeah. Also, very much appreciate somebody was willing to say, dang it, Chad's got experience. Let's bring him in here and finish this up for a few months. Very respectful thing to do. And obviously, Mrs. Hampton has experience. She used her experience and probably the guidance from others to apply even an application. She knew it would be, somewhat procedural. And that person right there, she's here now, of course. Mrs. Hampton has arrived, and I've never seen anybody with such an unshakable, undying loyalty publicly as I have seen her loyalty to Diane. One of my very first lessons in working with the city was when she ordered me out for 15 minutes for bringing up a question in the budget committee. The question had to do, you might not remember this, the question had to do with the title at the top of one of the columns. It was missing. Now, Diane was sitting right next to me, and she didn't say a word, but finally, somebody said, well, Duffy, what do you, I said, at your spreadsheet, at the top. The title, and right then Diane spoke up finally. She said, oh, I'll change it. And after getting augured out for 15 minutes, that ended the discussion. And it's been my experience that she's been loyal to that sort of a predisposition to Diane ever since. Never seen anybody so loyal. Starting to see that kind of loyalty come up in some new leadership that wants to be part of the town. Somehow, the council got peacefully through, and I hope you do continue. Good luck.
You have 56 seconds. Just kidding.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Never mind.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, anyone else? Oh, sorry, Gina, I didn't see you behind the big speaker.
You want me to say my name and address again?
We got it, I
You
think.
got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Starting with loyalty to Diane. I think you're suggesting that I was, absolutely. I think he was very good to this town. Well, you talked about her and you said others were.
Are you talking to them or to us?
Oh,
Yeah,
you,
thank
in
you.
particularly you. We had a petition with 77 people asking that Jeannie be the person appointed. That's more people than voted to keep Chad as mayor. So I'm really having a hard time understanding how it feels like you do not listen to the community at all.
I hate it when you say that. Just because we disagree doesn't mean we're not listening.
How are you listening when we got 77 people to sign a petition?
Hey, Gina.
How many people, how many
You guys,
people are in this community?
you guys. We,
How
we.
many voted to keep him?
This is not a back and forth.
No.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment? And one second, then you can get up. The public comment is supposed to be addressed to all council and not individual. And this is also a time where we don't get to respond. So, go ahead, Vicente.
Vicente Escalante, 310 North Dolson Street. I guess on a different subject. I was over at the coast over the weekend, a little town, I'm not sure if you guys have been to, called Manzanita. Nice little town, real quaint, clean. And I noticed something that they had there on their streets that I think I think we discussed it in previous council meetings in regards to, how people are treating Filson like a drag strip, right? And so what they had there in their town, inside city limits, of course, is they had the speed signs that show flashing what the speed actually is, and then a little bit of a ways down, not a ways, but I don't know, 15, 20 yards, give or take. There's another sign that says speed limit, and it's flashing, and it's kind of recording the speed that you're going, and I think you see it on the road as you slow down. The speed slows down as well, right? To kind of get people to do that. And it's ran off of a solar panel system, just to make people conscientious of, hey, you're in a residential area, and so, over the course of, I don't know, a while, I observe from my property, and I'm sure Anderson can speak on it. People are just treating that corridor like it's what's the rush? Someone dying. I'm sure there is things going on they're trying to get to, but at the same time, it's what are you saving a couple seconds? Be conscientious of being in a residential area, because I know if people in Steamfield, they would slow down, and which as they should, because that's the speed limit, right? Respect the residential area and people. And so something for the council to think about. I know the devices, they're not cheap, of course, and money is always tight no matter which way you spin it. So something to consider. I'm sure there's grants or programs out there that might be potential. And myself, I'll look into it as well to try to help out. Because I know Mr. Gonzalez, he has a lot of things going on. So I think that could be a good initiative down the road, getting a community, some sort of community, that, works on grants and stuff to help them out. And, that way we can start working on little things just to make it, bring back that family feel of the town. Because as we know, it's a little wonky right now as far as loyalties and stuff and what it sounds like. But I've been a resident here since, I don't know, a while, and I just think making sure that we just always focus on the safety and stuff, because there's kids and people that have talked to me from Fox Hollow, seeing if there's anything that we could kind of do to help with slow that down. Yeah, that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else for public comment? Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I think, can we just, did they have to go to you
Oh,
first?
Just you can throw it.
I was only able to give you three. I only had enough for that, so sorry. Brent Bybee, 2435 Northeast Moonlight Drive in Bend, Oregon. I wanted to stop by tonight. I'll say the last 3 weeks I've been doing a trip around the state. I'm a land use consultant. The last 10 years I've worked in the public sector. I worked 6 years at Wasco County, starting as an assistant and associate planner. Worked at Crook County as their planning manager. In the last 3 years, worked at City of Lapine as their community development director. I recently went out on my own as a land use consultant with the goal of helping out as many communities in Eastern and Central Oregon as possible. I love this area of the state. And I will say I was not expecting to wake up in Echo and be drawn to a community like this as much as I was. I had the chance to chat with Mike this morning. He gave me a lot of background on some of the projects that you folks are facing. And it does sound like there's been quite a year that you folks have been through. And it sounds like there does, in terms of planning, need to be some relationship building and work done with the community to make an overly complicated process set down by the state into something that everyone can understand and everyone can work under. So where I specialize, I help out small communities as needed with any plans that they have. And then I also help folks privately as well if they are applying for development in a jurisdiction, county or city. And so wanted to come and introduce myself to you folks tonight. I started here in Echo this morning, to Umatilla, across and up over to Milton Freewater, the jurisdictions as I went down to Pendleton, and I told you folks we're going to be having a long week tonight, and that maybe it would be better to come at a different date. But since I was in the area, I really wanted to come since you folks are having a meeting tonight. I'm going to be camping out down near Pendleton tonight and then continuing on. But I wanted to come and put a face to the name and let you know who I am, and that if you folks need any help with planning going into the future, I'm available. And my goal is to cover a lot of the Eastern and Central Oregon jurisdictions. So I know this isn't back and forth. I've done this a lot. One thing I would like to highlight within my experience, I've also been on the commission for the city of the Dalles, which included being the chair of the commission as well. Having worked within multiple jurisdictions, I've done a lot of training with councils and planning commissions as well in terms of hearing procedures and how the whole system works. But if that's something you folks are interested, that's something I provide as well. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I know this isn't back and forth, but just wanted to offer that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
Okay, any other public comment? Oh, Katie, sorry, you gotta wave. I like this side of, you're good.
Bougie.
Katie Barthel, 330 West Halstead, Echo. I just want to take a moment and tell you guys thank you. You guys have been doing a really good job. And as you stated, Joan, you guys have it's been a rough year. And am really glad that you guys took the time to discuss the appointments and how that would work and to back off and wait until next month and take applications and do it the right way. All we've asked from you guys over the last year is transparency, communication, and doing things the right way. So I think this was a good step, and like everything that we've been asking from you over the last however many, I don't even know how long it's been now. It feels like it's been 10 years, but and thank you, Mike. Thank you for listening to all of my, I don't know, 2 hours for the budget and working with me and helping me understand. And Scott, thank you for explaining the leases. I was really grateful for that. So Yeah, that's all I had. I just want to tell you guys, thank you. You're doing a good job and appreciate the effort of everything that we've been asking for over the last 6, 7 months to a year. That you guys have been taking that into consideration.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, anyone else for public comment?
Just in case you're wondering, I don't want to go.
Oh, okay, good. All right, so going once, going twice. All right, we'll move on to the city manager report.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. And I think it's appropriate to call you Mayor, even if it's a short term. And I'm the parliamentarian, but I think that's appropriate. So I'm going to address you as Mayor from this point. But city manager report, so thank you. Obviously been busy with the budget. So again, I know I've said it multiple times. Thank you to everybody. It's been a process and I'm glad to get through this and I'm really looking forward to this fiscal year. Some updates, thanks to Public Works for the traffic lights. I know that was on folks' minds. And thank you to Brent, who came today. And I'll say I was really impressed because I was actually meeting with a constituent in Fort Henrietta Park today, and I saw a gentleman was packing up camping. And I got a message from a Meta, hey, there's a guy waiting for you. Little did I know it was the same guy that was camping. So was really impressed. So Brent showed up out of the blue and we had this great conversation and I think we really aligned on transparency. And I expressed, some of the things that transpired over the year and, his outlook, he's kind of like a unicorn that showed up, which, I think he's actually exactly what we need for this city, like in terms of planning experience. And so definitely want to work with him, council. It was all sort of impromptu and I was so glad he showed up tonight because there was some, thinking that he may not be able to, but so I'm glad you came, Brent. So I appreciate that. So, because we will have projects moving forward and, my goal is to have transparency because I know there's been a lot of hurt in the community this past year. So thank you for showing up and really advocating and really explaining the services that he'll provide. And I know he visited with Darla over in Stanfield and she was really impressed with what he had to say. So I feel fortunate that he came and, I hope to use his services. So thanks for showing up. Some other things that we're dealing with, obviously the LUBA appeal, and we'll talk a little bit about that in executive session. I actually have to get some information that Gina gave me. It's in the office, so that'll be a part of it. So I didn't want you to think I forgot that because I did actually forget it, Gina. It's in the office. So I'll share that with council. I mentioned the audit engagement letter that came from Rebecca Price. So I did want to, I don't necessarily need a motion for approval, but is everybody in favor? I know Rebecca's worked with us for many years. She's really good at her job. I feel fortunate that she works with us. If everybody's in favor of moving forward, I know she's done it probably, close to 15, 20 years. So we're all good with that. I'll move forward with that. Couple other things, golf camp. We did our first ever golf camp in coordination with the city of Hermiston. So it's gone fantastic. We've got 70 kids golfing, parents. It's been a kind of a madhouse, but check out Facebook, our golf page. And so it's been received really well. So kudos to Tanya out there and the city of Hermiston for the partnership. So, I was kind of worried that maybe some of the golfers would be pushed back. I'm like, what's all these kids doing out here? But I mean, I've had people come to the office and say, thank you for doing that. And, allowing that to happen. So I think we're kind of building the future for golf. So I think that's great. Other thing, newsletter's been a hit. So thank you, Councilor Enright, for your help with that. She's contributed. And if anybody has ideas for articles, so I think it's been received really well. People are coming to City Hall. They're reading it in the cafes and they've obviously read it online too. So that's been good. And if council has any ideas for stories, please reach out. We'll get that in. So that's been good. The other thing we've been talking about as we hit summer is code enforcement. We were talking about our game plan with Chief Zumwalt today. We put a little something out in the bills. We've given a little synopsis in the newsletter. So really just executing. I'll let Chief jump in here and talk a little bit about what we talked about today.
Everything we talked about?
Maybe not everything.
I think it needs to be
strategies.
I'll be frank. I gave him the 411 on code enforcement in Echo. And what I feel is a lack of support from the council. And that it's always discouraging because you have staff you direct to go enforce your ordinances that you have put in place. But yet when it's done, there's a lack of support for staff. And that is discouraging as being out here enforcing and then it falls apart, not having the support for the staff. I just want to be frank, exactly what I told him about the potential pitfalls. Code enforcement is not fun. It's not fun to go tell somebody to clean up their property or move a vehicle. And then when you don't have the support from the governing body, it makes it your job impossible. Anyway, that's how we started. And just to give him full transparency, which I think he deserved. And then we talked about the way we used to do it when it was enforced. And that was identifying properties, not targeting, but across the town and sending out educational letters. And then front that generate from City Hall. And then if there was not compliance, a citation was issued. And then it would be delivered by a police department. We are going to start educational campaigns on parking issues on Jerome and Smith Drive has come up about the streets that are identified in your ordinances that you don't want parking on. So we are going to start educational campaign on that and then enforcement. But I would like a consensus of that you're going to support our endeavors. So they're not wasted. That's what you want us to enforce your ordinances.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the last couple meetings we've had people talking about.
Yes, there's
It's been a big thing the last couple months. Well, it's been a big thing, but it's been brought up multiple times the last couple months. So, and I totally get what you mean with the lack of support from us. And there's examples of other counselors doing things to go out of their way to kind of not support you. But that's all in the past. So, and I don't think we've really enforced anything since all that happened a few years ago. So if everyone's on board to show support and stand behind code enforcement, I think it would do a big deal for this community. So,
yeah, I think it's really great. And you have to start somewhere. So if you start with parking on Jerome and Smith, I live on Smith, homeowner on Smith, taxpayer here. I get it. I get Jerome coming to and from work. And so if we have to start somewhere, maybe that's a good place to pick to start. And then expand out to wherever else you think. Support you 100% with the safety of the people moving their parked cars and cutting the grasses, because I have seen Justin out there volunteering for other people's fires outside of Echo to help them out because of fires happening all over this area, all over Umatilla County right now. So that's big on my list, are things can cause safety hazard through fires. So I would also support that enforcement too. I'm behind you 100% as a council person.
I don't believe that's ever really been brought up the last several years. We should have been right behind him all the way. And it just definitely.
So that's what we're looking for, is sort of a unified front before we waste
Right.
energies.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike has a challenging
Yeah.
job as it is. We don't want to give him, he's doing a great job. And we do not need to give him any added burden or frustration.
And I appreciate Chief Zumwalt, being so transparent about the conversation, because that really was the concern. We could regulate all day. And in a small community, I think it's about approach, the educational. Yeah, and I think, I've learned over the years, even something like cutting the grass, not approaching it as, hey, man, cut your grass, but hey, do you need help cutting your grass? We don't know. Maybe the person's elderly, they have knee surgery, who knows what life circumstances. I've always found it's the approach rather than the punitive. So, and I think that's what we want to do, is educate first. Obviously you're going to have your problem spots, and staff has been out and we've looked at some problem homes that people will tell us about. So it's not as if we don't know, because I think the community wants a clean community. If they're, neighbors cutting their grass and keeping their house tidy and the neighbors are all not, it's frustrating as homeowners, and even if you're renting a property and you're keeping it nice or whatever the case may be. So, but Chief's right. We need the backing and just, because we know what'll happen. A local property owner might go to one of you and say, hey, why is this new city manager guy trying to regulate? Then that's apparently what's happened in the past. So, yeah, I'll be the one bearing some of the brunt, but I think I'm always a reasonable person. If somebody comes and is upset, they're welcome to come in my office and we'll explain, why it's important to other people. So anyhow, without going on and on and on, thank you, because we will definitely start doing that. But my promise to the community is the approach is not going to be punitive. We're
Right.
gonna work with you and find out how we can help first. And then, obviously if there's just lack of compliance, sometimes you got to take action.
So Mike, I think this is something that with because it's the council's direction, that would be great for your and Janie's newsletter is where you can stay. At the last city council meeting, the council gave direction to Chief Zumwalt that we are going to enforce our code for safety of our community, starting with parking on Jerome and Smith, and it's still one of my pet peeves, and reducing fire hazard, something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever you guys choose,
Absolutely.
you and Chief Zumwalt choose, you're going to be your focus. Put it out there, and then maybe next month we choose something else. I don't know
Right.
what it is, but or whatever the chief brings up to our attention as an issue. But I think using the newsletter is another way of transparency to let people know we are now upholding what you as the citizens wanted and the safety of our area.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's about safety. So hopefully we can all stand behind you.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. And that's all I have, council.
All right. So at this point, we will move into executive session. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Thank you.
I'm going to mute, and for those folks online, I'm going to turn us off for the executive session.